Heroes here on WKFK TV 7, where we interview veterans of the military and we preserve their stories, unedited and unchanged. So join us now for Local Heroes. Hello and welcome to Local Heroes, a program sponsored by WKFK TV in Pascagoula and the GI Museum in Goshen, Mississippi. It is my distinct honor today to have our first show, and now on our first show is a very good friend of mine and a local hero, Mr. Adelchi Pilutti. Mr. Pilutti jumped into Normandy as one of his war experiences, and also Market Garden. He was at the Battle of the Bulge. Mr. Pilutti, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And we're going to get started by talking about how you got into the Army.
Well, where do we start? From when I was born?
Oh, you can say where you came from.
All right. Well, I was born in Italy, 1921. And we came to the United States via Ellis Island, but our visa was a permanent residence, was to live in Canada, which we went to Toronto, Canada. From Canada, we migrated through Windsor, Ontario, through Detroit, on into Indiana, eventually Ohio, and that's where I was raised, in Ohio, in East Liverpool, Ohio. We lived there on a farm, and at the age of 19, and finished school, and I decided to join the Army and join a draft and get my year over with. And when I got out of there, would be able to find work. Well, it was in January of '41 that I was drafted. I was in Laurel, Mississippi, with my girlfriend at the time, who later became my wife. We were sitting in church when Pearl Harbor was bombed.
Wow. And
we stayed in touch for quite a while after that. I was shipped out from Camp Shelby, where I had been now for 14 months, shipped out to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Then we took a troop train to San Francisco. We arrived in San Francisco in about April of '41. We stayed about a month, and we're getting ready to go to the South Pacific when I was pulled out of the unit, out of line, and sent over to headquarters with my 201 file, my whole jacket, and had turned in my weapon that they requested I do. And they advised me then that when I asked why I was there, they advised me that I was an enemy alien, plus I was an illegal enemy alien, because we had no proof of entry nor date of entry into the United States.
Wow.
And we had been planned to live. Our visa was for Canada, and we had no visa to come into the United States, but we came in, and so they incarcerated me on Angel Island, which is right beside Alcatraz in San Francisco Bay. And so in effect, I could be considered a prisoner of war, but of the United States Army. I put in 65 days on Angel Island and was processed through there. Everything was clean, had no subversive activities, and I was placed in a unit back in the Army, in the regular Army back then. And so I trained there for a while, and I was training troops. I wound up finally in Texas at Fort Hood, and I got tired of that, and I decided, well, I wanted to do some fighting, and I joined the paratroops. I found out that'd be the best way to get into combat and help win the war. You know, being a red-blooded American.
Finally.
Finally. Well, not yet, but almost. And so I joined the paratroops. We were sent to Fort Bragg from there. And one thing that did happen while I was at Fort Bragg, I was still in touch with my girlfriend, who was working in Washington, D.C. with the War Department, which would now be considered the Pentagon. And we married on the 1st of March in '44. Now, all this time I'd been training over here, training other troops. And so we married on around about the 1st of May, somewhere in the 1st of May. Was shipped overseas and joined the 82nd Airborne. Hadn't been there but maybe 2 to 3 weeks at the most, and we were sent into a airplane hangar on one of the air bases there in England, and we were isolated from everyone, and we were given battle conditions, get ready for combat, and where we were going to drop and everything. Well, then on the 5th of June, they had us ready to go, and we boarded the planes on the evening of the 5th of June, C-47s. We had all our gear on. I probably had about 85 pounds of gear total. And we headed for the coast of Normandy. We dropped in probably about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and as we were coming in, we dropped down to about somewhere around 500 feet off the ground. And flak was coming at us, and we had the red light on, everybody standing up, already hooked up and everything. And I'm standing in the door, ready for that light to turn green, and about that time, I see a plane just blow up near us, just off to one side, and just got hit by flak. And about that time, I was ready to go. Well, the green light came on. We went. It took off. I landed near Chef DuPont. It was not our objective per se, but we were within a quarter of a mile of the objective at least. And then we helped to we regrouped a little bit, and not the whole squad could get together because we were scattered pretty much, and we sort of held the bridge on our end, keep the enemy from blowing it up, because it was one of the main bridges across the Meredith River to Chef DuPont. Chef DuPont was about 3 miles south of St. Mary-Glise. We gathered up, and after 2 days, and I think we had maybe about 30 men by then, and over the period of two days there, and then we just sort of got an officer in charge, and he gathered us up and took us on back to fall back and regroup, and at a small town. I can't think of the name of it now for anything, and there's so many little towns that we hit, but we were pulled back, and we sort of guarded the west side of the perimeter of the combat area, and we had to knock out several small bridges. We kept 3 that we needed for our use and to our advantage. We knocked out as much communications lines, and which were all landlines at the time. There were no radios. Our radios to us were useless. They just didn't work. Most of our communication was done by laying landlines down and using our radios that way. We did go back and fall back. We had a couple of skirmishes and 2 small towns. We took the towns, sent the Germans out, and the French were very good to us. They greeted us with their cognac and their champagne and what have you. We celebrated a little bit in between, if we could, we try not to stay too sober, and but they were good to us. I had a little incident that happened that we were with a patrol. I was at the back end of this patrol, and it was about 8 or 9 of us. I can't remember exactly. We were going between the hedgerows down a path, like a little road, maybe a horse path more or less, and it curved around to the left, and I couldn't see the lead man. I could see maybe 3 or 4 ahead of us. We were probably spread out under 100 yards, and the gunfire broke out. Well, when that happened, everybody, of course, hit the ground, and we kept firing. I could hear firing, and somebody said there was being ambushed, sent the word back, and so I eased on back and to where I thought that we could outflank the whatever it was that was firing at us. Found out it was a machine gun nest, 2 men on the nest, and I got rid of both of them.
With 2 shots?
With 2 shots, yes.
Very good, very good. And when you were awarded
I was awarded a Bronze Star for that.
A Bronze Star for that action.
Yeah.
Bronze Star for that action. Well, Mr. Pilutti, don't go anywhere, and y'all don't go anywhere either, because we're going to come back after this break and continue this exciting military history story. So don't go away. Welcome back to Local Heroes with our special guest, Adelchi Pilutti. Mr. Pilutti.
Yes.
In World War II, the historians say that you guys in the 82nd never had this little device here, this little cricket. But I want you to tell our viewers how wrong some of the historians might be.
Well, they are wrong. I know that's not all of us, but some of us in the 508 had these. Now, that I know. I don't know about the other units of the 82nd Airborne, but I was in the 82nd Airborne, 508 Parachute Infantry, and we had these.
And that's an original cricket
And
that belonged to a captain who was in, unfortunately, the 101st, but I hope you don't mind handling it.
No, that's quite all right.
Okay, but you were issued that when?
Just before we jumped into Normandy.
Just before you jumped into Normandy.
Yeah, I'd say maybe on about the 4th of June, maybe somewhere, 4th or 5th of June.
Right, and the instructions were that 1 click
One click.
was to be answered in the dark by?
2 clicks.
And there's another thing that I want you to tell our viewers that is absolutely false. The
Yes.
bolt of a German K98 rifle doesn't sound anything like what our viewers just heard.
No, it does not. The bolt of a rifle, when it's opening and closing, has got a longer click to it. It has a click, but it's dragged out. It's not crisp like that. It's
a different sound.
It's a different sound, period.
There's no way it can be the same.
There's no way that now the historians or whatever movie that you may have watched at one time is wrong.
Very good.
It's wrong.
Very good. Let's set history straight here.
Good.
Now we left you, and you had just knocked out that German machine gun nest in the hedgerow,
Yes.
which you got the Bronze Star for.
Yes, sir.
Well, take us from that point on in your little story here about what happened after the machine gun nest. How long were you in France, and what happened while you were there?
Well, we did go from there to in about 3 different towns that we liberated in all, and then we were my battalion. The 2nd Battalion that I was in, we were placed in reserve in France. And I cannot think of those towns at all, their names. I cannot do that. I don't know.
It's okay.
If I had a map, I could tell you where it was.
Oh, okay.
But we were placed in reserve with my battalion for about 1 week. But we had little skirmishes, the other units did, and after that 1 week we went back into the line, and we went and just holding the line, so to speak, and trying to help out the people there in France, indigenous. Well, we stayed about 33 days in France total. Then they came in and took us out. By then, the fourth, I think it was the Fourth Army, came and relieved us. We went through St. Mary Glees and boarded the ships down there on Omaha Beach.
So you went across the beach to board the ship?
Yes.
Okay.
Went across the beach, got on the ships, and we went to England. Well, in England, instead of me going back with my unit, myself and probably 20 other foreigners, between Italian, Germans, and Polish, and so on, that were non-citizens, like myself, were sent to a replacement depot at Lichfield, England. We were there probably about 2 days, and they didn't tell us why they sent us there. It was just something that happened, we thought. Well, they advised us then on about the third day that we were to go down to in front of the headquarters that they had there, and the American consul from the United States, the consul to England, was there, and he had the power to make us American citizens. And that was on the 19th of July of '44. I became an American citizen.
After you had done the Normandy
After
invasion?
I had been in Normandy, been shot at and missed.
And won the Bronze Star for bravery when you knocked out the machine gun nest.
Yes.
You're finally an American citizen.
Finally an American citizen.
How did you feel, Mr. Pilutti?
Well, I felt great. That was one day that we became citizens probably about 2 o'clock that afternoon, and then at retreat that evening, they had us standing there before the flag, and that was a very proud day in my life. That was my flag.
Wonderful.
Yep, that was my flag.
So you were in England. Did you do any training, or were you just there for?
Oh no, we just went back. I got back to my unit probably about toward the end of July, and we trained some more there, and we made one practice jump. I say practice jump. Every jump you make is for real. It's not a practice. You know, it either works or it doesn't.
That's it.
Period. There's no yes or no. It's got to be one or the other. And but then on the 17th of September, well, the 16th, they got us together and put us back in the in that hangar on the air base, and they got us ready for the jump into Holland. It was Market Garden. Or a lot of them know it as a bridge too far. It was the British that were supposed to go into Arnhem. The 82nd Airborne go into Nijmegen, and the 101st go into Mannheim. No, it wasn't Mannheim. Well, I can't even remember that one right now. It'll come to me.
But you went into Nijmegen?
I went into Nijmegen.
Is it true about all the celebrating and the people celebrating in the streets in Nijmegen when y'all went through?
They were because the Germans had left. The Germans had left. We had some flack to come in on us, but it wasn't all that bad. I think that at first they thought that maybe it was just a little, wasn't much to it, but we the one regiment that hit closest to Nijmegen, they went into Nijmegen. I dropped in just below Nijmegen at a little place called Groesbeek, and we just didn't have all that much action down there in Groesbeek. We just held the line toward the Siegfried line, and the two regiments that hit up near Nijmegen, they secured the town, and we went in and helped them celebrate about the second day in, because they had done run them up the road. They did try to hold the bridge on one end. That they knocked out one bridge. We had the Moss and the Wall rivers, and had bridges on both of them. And I think it was the Moss that they dropped, that they ruined, that the Germans blew up. They had a malfunction on their demo on the other bridge, but we were able to save it. One plane came over and dropped a small bomb and put a small hole in it in one end, but it wasn't anything serious. But we did take the bridge eventually. I think it was the 504 of the 82nd went in and took the bridge by boat.
By boat?
By boat.
That's interesting.
Yes, the British sent in the boats from somewhere, from back from or behind where the 101st was, and they sent them in, and they went in. Half of them didn't have paddles. Some of them had holes in them, so they did the best they could, but they eventually took the bridge.
Wow. And
the British, their communication, their radios were out, so they took a beating up there at Arnhem. They landed near Arnhem, but they were about 5 miles from town. That's where their drop zone was, instead of putting it close to town. So they were already ambushed before they had a chance to get there. There was a tank division station near Arnhem, and that helped to rout the British out. Out of the around 10,000 that went in there, 2,000 came back.
Wow.
That we were able to go in and bring back out. I know the 508 was used also to help to bring them out.
So basically, Market Garden was a failure. Y'all helped evacuate the British and save them, and you retreated back into...
We retreated back into Nijmegen and down south, yeah.
And eventually leaving Nijmegen again, right?
Right, we left Nijmegen sometime in October.
Wow.
Around the last of October we left.
The citizens are sorry, I guess, to see you go.
Oh, that was those people were really nice. They were really friendly. They helped us quite a bit. They helped us more, I think, more than the French did in one respect. I don't know, they were more anti-German than any one of us could have been. They were good to us. They gave us good information.
Before we leave out of this segment, we want to talk about an old friend you got there in your lap. When you shot or took out that German machine gun position, you did it with that little...
Yes, with one just like this in here. It's a M1 carbine. It's just it's not automatic. It's not a M1, M2, or A1, whatever. And we did have the automatic. We did have full automatic. Just press the switch on one side. This one here is not automatic.
And that's what you carried?
This is what I carried.
Just exactly like that one?
Just like this here, yep.
So you've been reunited with an old friend you hadn't seen in a long time.
Yep, this is an old friend, sure enough.
I can tell the people out there that Mr. Palutti's got a smile on his face. It's probably as big as this room right now.
Yes.
See, that's what you carried right there.
This is what I carried, yep.
The M1A1 carbine with a folding stock.
Yep, it was great. It wasn't very good for long shots. I think if you tried over 150 yards with it, it would scatter. It didn't hold. It didn't hold a good pattern.
Mr. Pilutti, we are out of time for this show, but your story is so interesting. We're going to come back next week, and we're going to talk more to Mr. Pilutti about his very interesting history and being part of two great operations in World War II. So don't forget, next week, same time, tune into Local Heroes for more with Mr. Adelchi Pilutti. Welcome to Local Heroes, a show produced by WKFK TV in Pascagoula and the GI Museum in Goshen, Mississippi. In our last show, we were talking with Mr. Adelchi Pilutti. We ran out of time because Mr. Pilutti's story was so interesting. We have decided that we're going to continue on this show. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Pilutti.
Thank you.
And on our last show, we had left you in about the time that Market Garden was over and you were retreating back into France, was it?
Yes.
Could you pick up your story after that?
Well, we went back to France. It was Soissons, France, which is right near Reims, France, where eventually the peace treaty was signed at Reims, France, and we were close by. While we were there, we trained some. We made several parachute jumps. We were called out in December when the Germans did the bulge. That's what it's called. It was called a bulge. They attacked our easternmost advance troops at Bastogne, and they were going to make a breakthrough. Well, we were caught there in Soissons. We had all our heavy weapons in ordnance. We packed up as best we could. We didn't have our winter clothes. That's another thing. We didn't have the snow gear, the cold weather gear that we should have had, and we got on trucks. We didn't fly in, we didn't jump in. We got on trucks and were trucked in to Belgium on a northern flank of the bulge. And we did what we had to do. We didn't hit the heavy fighting as they did at Bastogne. That was the main thrust in there. And but there was fighting along the edges around a perimeter. And we held them back. We held the Germans back, and we broke them down eventually. In the meantime, we froze. It was cold. No gear, no cold weather gear. We had to assemble some of our heavy weapons. Had to take care of them and do maintenance work on them as best we could to get them to operate. We didn't have much of a battle. Most of it was just street fighting, and which I think we went through 2 towns that I was concerned with, and we took them and sent the Germans retreating, and eventually, when that was over, in around about the 1st of January, we came back to Soissons, and we stayed there probably a few months. Then we were called down. We went to Chartres, France. From there, we were supposed to go in and jump in ahead of our troops and make another jump in toward the German lines. Patton overran our DZ.
Good old Georgie. Yeah, he's known for that.
He did that. And then they did us once more. They held us back, kept us there, and they programmed another jump in for us ahead of Patton again. Patton overran the DZ again. And he was moving, and he just took care of that. Well, that sent us back to Soissons, France. And then after Soissons, in June of 45, we were picked to pull honor guard at Chafe headquarters, the 508th, the whole regiment, and we split it up into three battalions. One battalion pulled 1 month of honor guard, and the other 2 would sit back and do their training, continue training, and we got to meet just about all the brass that was in headquarters in Europe. British, Russian, American, of course. I got to see just about all the generals and important people, I guess, that of the American Army. Bradley, Ike, Patton. I didn't meet them. I saw them.
You probably didn't want to get close to the generals, did you?
No, not me. Not me with 3 stripes. But no, it was an honor to be asked to pull honor guard, and we were good at it. Then after that, we stayed right there, pulling honor guard, and then in October, I came up with well. Back then, you were discharged according to the amount of points that you had. Ever how many months that you had in service, you got points for each month. Then if you had any decorations, awards, then you got points for that.
And there's one of those I don't want to leave out, and that's the Purple Heart.
Yes.
You were awarded the Purple Heart.
Yes. Well, that was in Norman, not in Norman. That was in Holland, really, where we had the least, conflict in one way. It wasn't quite as bad as Normandy, but I was hit as I was coming down by flak. That's what I was hit by, and was wounded, and received the Purple Heart for that. So I had a few points. I had 116 points, but guys were getting discharged that had 130 points, even 140. Finally, it come down to my turn, so they told me, said, well, we'll give you a staff sergeant if you'll stay with us until we go back to the United States, and you'll be able to walk in a parade down Fifth Avenue with the general, with General Gavin, Slim Jim. And I said, no. I said, if you give me my stripes right now and start my pay tomorrow, I said, I'll stay. I said, but if you don't, I said, well, we can't do that. We can't do. I said, well, I'm going home. So I came home. I arrived home on the 7th of November of 45. And my wife, who had left Washington, D.C., went to Seattle, Washington to work at Boeing, met me at home up in Ohio.
What was it like coming home?
Oh, it was great. It was great. The big song back then was Doris Day singing Sentimental Journey. You talk about making guys homesick. that made them homesick. Sentimental Journey. And every time I hear it, I think about being over in Germany. Yeah.
What was the sense that you had after you came home? Did you realize what you had done?
No.
And how much a part of history you were going to become?
Not then.
Not then at all.
We didn't. I think it just had the feeling, well, I did my part the same as everybody else, whether it was over there or whether it was here at home. Because I know that they were working back here just as hard. I think that was one of the most concerted efforts that the United States has ever been in. I think everybody knew what had to be done. Everybody jumped in and did what they had to do.
Probably the most patriotic time this country's ever experienced.
I think so. I think it was. I can't recall another time that it was that way. And I was a part of it, and I'm proud of it.
Well, we're proud of you, Mr. Pilutti. Proud of what you've done for our country.
Oh, I tell you.
Somebody who wasn't even a citizen and participated in the Normandy invasion.
Well, and my brother, who also eventually came over to Europe too, wound up in Austria. I forget what outfit he was in now, but he was in the Army. He went to Paris and received his citizenship. My older brother, who was also the same as me, but he was a non-citizen. So he was another one that made it too. And my dad, he was proud of us, and he finally went, I think in about 47, he went and got his citizenship. And I can remember the day he came home. He stopped along the pub somewhere along the way.
He was celebrating his citizenship.
He was celebrating his citizenship all the way home.
Well, Mr. Pilutti, y'all are truly the greatest generation.
Well, thank you.
All of America owes you guys such a debt of gratitude for what you did. We wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation today or doing this television show had you guys not gone forward and done what you had done. I mean, my God, you had to stay in basically jail until you could get put back in the Army.
Yes.
And then you went and served your country and finally got citizenship and continued to serve your country.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So all of America owes the World War II generation a debt of gratitude that we could never repay.
Well, I'm proud that I was a part of it. I truly am. I didn't do it to get the glory of it. I did it because it was a job that had to be done. And we all contributed.
We got just about a minute. Is there one little short, memorable moment that you can share with us that sticks out above all the rest?
Well, the one thing that I can remember of all the time I was in combat, we had come in out of a patrol, and it was just a recon patrol. Coming back through our lines, I met my buddy. He was in a foxhole, guarding the perimeter, and I stopped with him a few minutes, and he was going to share his sea rations with me, which I hadn't eaten for about a day and a half. And so we were sharing the sea rations, and he raised up a little bit out of his foxhole there. I was beside him, and he slumped over on me, and I didn't even hear the shot, but the sniper got him, and he died in my arms.
Wow.
And I don't know his first name, but I do know I called him Polak, and he called me Dago.
It's something we wouldn't do today.
It's something, right, it's something that's not kosher, I guess you could say, and not politically correct. But back then, everybody had about the same thing. I know I was interviewed by a major whose father was in the Army back in World War II, and he wrote about the Italian Americans. I have to bring you a copy of that.
I'd appreciate it.
I would. I'd bring you.
We're going to take a short break right now, Mr. Pilutti, but we're going to come back after the break, and we're going to talk about Mr. Pilutti's military career after World War II was over. Don't go away. Welcome back to Local Heroes with our special guest, Mr. Adelchi Pilutti. Mr. Pilutti, the war is over. You're back at home. Mm-hmm. You have various jobs. You work for years, I assume. Mm-hmm. But then you get the itch. And what do you got to do again?
Join the National Guard.
You join the National Guard.
But when I first came out, went to work in the clay mine. I've worked in brickyards. I worked in steel mills, and I didn't care for it. I had to get a trade, so I turned to carpentry. And I think in about 1947, I became a carpenter, full-fledged, after about a year of apprenticeship. Well, the wife did not like being up north. She was from the south. So we decided, well, we'd come back down south, which was a good move. We both decided it was a mutual feeling. We came back south. She was from Taylorsville, Mississippi. We stayed there for a couple of years. Then eventually I came down to Keesler. They opened up at Keesler Field for all GIs, ex-GIs. President Eisenhower had a mandate to try to hire as many as he could of ex-GIs. Well, they had an opening there. I came down and applied for carpenter work. And they said, well, we don't need carpenters. We need cooks. I said, well, I can cook. So I turned into a cook real quick.
That's something I didn't know about you, Mr. Pilutti. You're a cook.
Yeah, I was a cook. And then for several years, and I kept trying to get back into woodworking, which I did. And but in the meantime, since we had come to the coast, we found a house over here in Ocean Springs, and in 1956 we came down. We made a permanent move, bought a home here. Well, I met a couple of guys there that at work with me that were in the National Guard. So they talked me in to join the Guard. Joined a transportation unit in Ocean Springs, 135th. And I learned how to become a trainer, an instructor on a Lark, which was one of the amphibious truck vessels that we had at the time, the transportation unit. Well, I stayed in that unit for about 5 years. And then in 1963, in September of that year, a captain by the name of Jim Garner came to see me while he was at Drill 2, and asked me if I was going to Jackson with him, join a Special Forces unit. I didn't know what Special Forces was. I'd been out of military for so long, 9-year break there. So he told me, he said, well, they jump out of planes. I said, good. I said, I'm going with you.
It didn't take long to decide.
Off we went up to Jackson, went to Hawkins Field, and about 27 of us joined up there that day, gathered up there that day. And we formed the 20th Special Forces Battalion.
You're one of the original members.
I'm one of the charter members, and there were none of them are back still in the unit now because they've aged out, gotten out. But no, I joined the unit. I was a staff sergeant at the time. But I was with Jim Garner. He was one of the A Company commanders, and I was in his company, in his team. So he made me his sergeant major. And I remained his sergeant major until he left the unit. And we trained together, we've jumped together all those years. And we've been to Panama, we've been to Idaho, to Utah, Alabama, North Carolina, Georgia. We just been all over for summer training, and I enjoyed it, and it was good. Eventually, I wound up with 105 parachute jumps, probably about 40 of them with the 20th Special Forces.
And you ended up as
I ended up as a command sergeant major.
And they didn't want to let you out of the unit even after you stopped jumping.
After I stopped jumping, I was leaning toward my left leg a little bit too much. I sort of hurt my right hip, and I was pulling my leg up off of the before we hit the ground, and I was putting all the pressure on the left one, which eventually hurt it. So I quit jumping. But my CO told me, he says, as long as I was his command sergeant major, that I would remain in the unit, which I'm thankful that he kept me that long. That was about 2 years.
You stayed in there 2 years after.
After.
And that was in what year?
Well, let's see, that was in, had to been then in 79.
And your last year in the unit was 79?
No, 81.
81.
81. In December of 81. Had to get out on my 60th birthday. That was in 81.
What a storied military career.
Well, yes, it's been good. I haven't received a Purple Heart. I joined the Military Order of the Purple Heart then, back about in 2003. In 2000, at the end of 2003, I hadn't been in there very long. They had a drawing for to pick one man from each state to go to the unveiling of the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C. Well, we turned in our names to National, and they picked one man from each state with a runner-up just in case. I was picked to represent the state of Mississippi.
What an honor.
Well, thank you.
I'm glad it was you.
Well, I am too, because we got up to Washington. They've sponsored the trip. They paid for our rooms, and my son went with me, and he helped me, especially in the airport, because my leg was going bad on me by then, and so he wheeled me around as best he could, especially through the Atlanta airport, which we had a half hour between connections, and he only had 10 minutes to get there.
How did it feel when you got to the memorial?
Oh, that was great.
It was the recognition
they didn't recognize us there, on the PA system or anything, but we were in the front and center of the podium. I mean, of the stage. I was from here to the back wall there, from the stage. That's where I was sitting. And I was in about the 9th row, but we were right in there, all of us, gathered in there with our whoever went with us, or our wives, or their wives, and so on. But it was an honor.
You didn't get your parade when you came home. I guess this was your parade finally.
This was finally my parade,
and
my recognition.
And the recognition,
yes.
and rightly so,
yes,
of the generation that saved the world for democracy.
Yes, well, yeah. Well, I didn't know it back then, but I found out since then. Yes, that's what it was. Yes, it's been great. It's been good.
Well, I can't think of a better person to start this show with than Mr. Adelchi Pilutti.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Mr. Pilutti. It's been an honor to have you on this show. You're a friend and a real honor. Yeah, I really do appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on Local Heroes. Tune in next week for another exciting story and be a part of history with us. Thank you very much.